We're
There
rolling.
we go. Okay, good evening. Welcome to episode 2 of the CUSF Down the Barrel podcast. My name's Swally Swede. With me is Dave, the president. So, hi,
Howdy.
Dave. And now we got Melanie Markling
Yep.
from
Hello.
from Saskatchewan, who is a gun store owner, and you have a range as well, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and Dave, I understand we got some new sponsors.
Yeah, so big shout out to Vortex. They came on a couple weeks ago, as well as Beretta and Stittsville shooting ranges in Ottawa. So they're all supporting student sports shooting in Canada, and we're really happy for them to be supporting our organization and to be working with them in the future.
Awesome. And I understand Beretta, they had a couple of people we wanted to interview, or they wanted us to interview for them.
Yeah, we got some really exciting guests coming up from actually a couple of our sponsors now. So
Yeah.
that should be interesting coming down the line.
Yeah, I know, right? We're 2 episodes in and we've already got at least another 2 episodes planned with guests already, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Right. So I was out shooting today. You guys do anything fun this week?
Mm, well, I always think my life is fun, but I was out foraging,
Oh yeah.
shooting, of course. Did a little bit of shooting on our range. Yeah, that's about the extent of it so far. It's only Thursday.
Yeah, true enough. Dave, what about yourself?
Yeah, I just got a new motorcycle, so was enjoying
How
that.
how have you not did you tell me that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
think
did.
I
Yeah, you
did.
did.
Yeah, so
It's an older one, right?
yeah, 84 KZ 550. So
Right.
that was really good up until I realized that the tires were manufactured when I was in grade 5, so
Yeah.
17 years ago. I was
So they're
looking at them.
they're plastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they got a fucking couple cracks in them, so I think time to do a burnout until they pop and get some new ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there we go. Yeah, no, I joined one of our local ranges today. I've been looking at this one for a long time. So I was out there and spent some money on rounds. I saved a lot of money on targets. We'll put it that way. I was able to reuse a couple of my targets, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Not a lot of holes in the ones I put out, is what I'm saying.
Bit rusty there, eh?
Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, no, it was fun, and I brought them home as well because I want to show the wife how terribly I'm shooting. Because as competitive as she is, I know she's going to want to do better. You got a couple of dogs there, Melanie?
Yeah, we're dealing with that. Sorry.
What have you got?
A Chihuahua.
Oh, okay,
Just
a
yeah,
Chihuahua.
so it sounds like a million dogs.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah,
All
but
right.
we're good. I don't. You can't hear her anymore. No,
Sounds
it's all
good.
good. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
All right. Let's crack on. So you're in Saskatchewan, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And what do you do there?
Well, I right now I run the store with my partner Heath. We built the store, Northern Elite Firearms, and we have a range as well. So we're kept very busy all the time with the gun store and the gun range.
Okay. And
Yeah.
how long have you guys been around?
Since 2016. So we started up our store, about 4 years ago, and it was in a small town that we started out. It was about a 40-minute drive from Prince Albert,
Mm-hmm.
and we just started. Our business grew after a while, and we decided let's shoot for the stars, and we built our own store in the city here. And we thought, well, if we're going to build a store, let's do an indoor range with it. So
Mm-hmm.
we have the indoor range as well. And that keeps us very busy. We've been very, very busy for the last several years with that, for sure.
Have you guys noticed any fluctuation with COVID and that being extra busy or a little bit slower, both at the range
Um,
and sales?
well, there's been a few things that have that kind of coincided with COVID. So May 1st, of course, was the OIC,
Yep.
and then I started a couple other projects on my own. So we have noticed that it's a lot busier actually since March. Yeah, for sure it has been.
We had
Yeah.
we had Delano on last week and a half ago, and he's a firearms instructor, and he said they've been very busy now. Things have picked up quite a lot, and I think a lot of businesses are noticing either a slowdown because or an increase because, and a lot of the increase because is people have all this extra time now to go do stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, when the pandemic first started, we had to close down the range. We also have an axe throwing range in our facility, so we so we had shut down both ranges, and so that was a little discouraging. But then when we were allowed to gradually reopen, it's been really good. It's been very busy, and people are in and using it and enjoying it. And now that the weather is getting a little cooler out here, and so people are coming more and more to the range just because the weather, right? It's just easier to shoot in an indoor range sometimes when it's cooling off. So
True enough.
It's getting a little busier.
How long is your range?
It's 25 meters.
Okay,
Yep.
nice.
Yeah.
Handgun and rifle, or?
Yeah, it's handgun rifle. It's a tactical range. So it's actually the province's highest rated range. So it can handle 50 BMG.
There you go.
Yeah.
Go big or go home.
Absolutely. So
Nice.
yes, so on May 1st, when they announced the OIC, of course it was very discouraging because we just put so much into that range just to make it so that you could shoot anything down there. It was definitely a tourist attraction, and people were coming from all over to shoot that big gun. And well, unfortunately, you can't now, but we still have hope, and yeah, we still do all sorts of shooting down there. So handgun rifles, yeah.
Awesome. Well, what do you shoot? What do you shoot personally?
Well, I've got a CZ AccuShadow that I really like, 9mm. I really enjoy the Chris Vector 9mm, and I've got a Glock 17 that I enjoy shooting as well.
Oh,
there's a bunch of them that I like, but unfortunately, running the business, I don't have a whole lot of time to shoot, and most of my money doesn't go into a personal collection. It goes back into the store. So one day I'll grow my collection a little bigger, but for right now I'm just enjoying what I have. And the nice thing about having this range that I own this range, and I never thought of it before, but I have so many people that come in and they offer to let me shoot their guns.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, so I get to shoot a lot of different guns. I've seen so many different types of firearms. It's just, it boggles my mind actually some days how lucky I am that I get to be around all these guns all the time. So, and I mean, I really, really like guns. So it's just if
it wasn't clear. If it wasn't clear, having a store, having a range.
If anyone is confused at all, yes, I very much like firearms. So
awesome. It's pretty cool. I was a motorcycle mechanic briefly for Harley, and similar thing. You work on somebody's bike and you take it out for a ride, and then somebody else comes in, you work on their bike and you take it out for a ride. It's and it's like I get paid to do this, right?
Yeah.
I can relate. It's pretty cool. What got you into shooting?
Well, you know what? I started a job at the penitentiary here in Prince Albert, the Saskatchewan Penitentiary.
PA Pen?
Yeah.
Oh, you were CSC?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I was.
I used to work at one of the other prairie jails for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so I went to the correctional training program.
Yep.
And that's the very first in Saskatchewan. Yeah.
Yeah. Stay at the hotel.
At Parktown Hotel. Yeah.
Me too. Yeah.
And so that was my first experience. The very first time I shot a gun, it was I can't even remember. I know just the caliber was .38 Special. I should
Oh
know it,
wow, that's
and
that's the old service.
yeah.
They've got the P2000 now.
Okay, yes.
Yep.
Yes, they do. Yeah. And so that was the first time I shot, and I mean, I was hooked. I was very much hooked the very first time I shot a gun. I just thought to myself, what have I been missing out on all these years? I was 29 years old
Yeah.
at the time, and I thought, what have I been missing out all these years? And so that's kind of what started. That's what started my journey down this. Well, led me to where I am right now,
Mhm.
and I'm completely 100% absorbed in the firearms world and the firearms industry. I live, breathe, shoot guns. So
Clearly.
that's my thing. Yeah.
Awesome.
So,
What
and I
a-
guess tell
Go
us
ahead.
tell us how I guess our paths crossed there. Like, what's your interest in the Shooting Federation?
Well, I started, as our business grew, I just thought to myself, as an arms dealer, I'm putting out a lot of guns into the community. And I really noticed that there's not a whole lot of firearm education out there. And to me, that was a little alarming, A, as a parent myself, and B, I just think, if I'm putting out all these guns into the community, I think it would be incumbent upon me, or any dealer actually, to provide some kind of education on it. And I mean, I think that's important. And so I thought, we don't have a whole lot of opportunity for kids in school to learn about firearm education anymore, especially in like the younger years. Like they took that away. They took hunter safety away. There's not a whole lot of opportunity for young kids in the urban areas to learn about guns in a safe and practical way, which I think is really important. And I knew that going to the elementary schools and talking about guns is probably not going to be in my favor, just because it's sensitive for some people. So I got to thinking, what about the universities? And because we have several here in Prince Albert. We have a new campus. It's like a remote campus here in Prince Albert. We have the different colleges, like there's Sask Polytech. There's a couple of different options for post-secondary students. And I thought, well, I'd like to extend this opportunity, me having arranged, to older students, to university students. It's something fun to do. It's a great sport. And then I've been on Facebook for a while now, trying to grow my business through social media, and I came across it's the CUSF.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I don't know, Dave, your name came up, or I can't even recall exactly, but I just know I remember touching base with you and saying, hey, I'm really interested in working with the University of Saskatchewan and trying to get some kind of a program up and running for university students, just because I think it's such an opportunity. For me, it was a huge opportunity for me. And I mean, I went to U of S. I have my Bachelor of Education, and to me, it just seemed like that would be the next step in providing education, providing a great atmosphere for students, providing something to do extracurricular, building relationships, promoting the sport. Like, it all seems like a no-brainer with me having a range.
And
So
I think you really hit it on the head too, in terms of like, that's the right time in somebody's life for them, right? They're getting away from their parents, they're going to school. These young men and women are becoming adults and really starting to make their own choices, right? So you're exactly right. It'd be controversial in elementary school, but now these young men and women are responsible enough to have the opportunity to handle firearms and learn about them, right? So like, not to say that younger kids can't, but I just think it's like a great age to be exposed to that and really understand, hey, maybe you don't like firearms. Hey, maybe you do like firearms, right? You can really make that decision for yourself.
for sure. And I think organizing a club or some kind of a social event for adults would be a little easier for me to manage and then learn from, and then move on into the younger generation, the younger kids, just because I'd like to offer the like firearm education and safety courses to high school students. And then I would like to offer like hunter safety into the elementary, like even like the middle school. And, you know, hunting is such a huge part of my area of where I am. So that only makes sense to me to provide those opportunities for all the young people here. And I just think that, you know, showing people the opportunity that comes along with firearms, it helps to, like for me, I think that owning a firearm, it forces you to work because it's not a cheap hobby. It's really expensive. And so you have to work in order to, you know, to satisfy this hobby and this passion that you have. And I think that, I mean, when you realize that, hey, I want to shoot, I want that gun, this is so fun, this adrenaline rush, everything about it, I got to work for that. And what do I have to do to, you know, to get that? And I think it's such a thrilling and rewarding pastime that I don't know. I don't know why everybody wouldn't have a gun. That's what I think, though. And I mean, my thing every day is I think everyone should have a rifle, a shotgun, and a handgun. So it's easy for me to sell it because I totally believe it. So,
Is this something? Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
Once you try it too, right? In my experience, it's been all the new shooters I've brought out to the range in my life, no matter what predisposed beliefs about guns they had. As soon as they get behind the trigger and try it out, right? The worst response I've ever had was somebody was like, it was all right. That was one person out of everybody, right? And like, so I mean, exactly, right? If you get somebody behind the gun, they understand it, right? They get how rewarding and fun it is, right?
Yeah. And I started these ladies' range days about a year ago. And the number of women that come in and like they're new, they've never shot a gun. They're totally new to the sport, to target shooting, and well, even around guns at all. And I bring them in, and for a few hours, we talk about the like the safety aspect of the firearms, like proving it safe. How do you respond in a situation where you come across a firearm, and what do you do at that point? That's very important. And so I get these women to come in, we go through different actions of different firearms, and then we prove them safe. They feel confident. Then we go down to the range. They're hooked. I've had women come in. I had this last woman I had, she proceeded to get her pal, our pal, like she's a customer now. And I mean, of course it benefits me, but I mean, for her, she's found this source of empowerment, this new hobby. She loves it. I get goosebumps talking about it because it's so amazing. All of the reactions that I see that are so positive at the range. So, yeah.
You sound like you're describing my mom. Like she got her pal and our pal like a year or two ago, and she just like can't get enough. We go shooting every Mother's Day now, and like she's just enthused.
We should have your mom on. We'll do a special between episodes. We'll have your mom on.
Perfect. I'll have to get yours on too.
She doesn't shoot, but I'll bring the wife. Maybe I'll have the wife on. Yeah, she's perfect. She told me actually we're just walking down to the pub, and she was saying she's off to Prince Rupert for work for 4 weeks, but she says to book her in for a course for November with one of the local clubs here. Same one I got my license through. But yeah. So on the teaching, Melanie, what I was going to say earlier is this something that you're interested in teaching yourself?
Absolutely.
With the kids and stuff? Because I was thinking along the same lines, like I lived in Alberta for a couple of years, and prairies is still obviously very rural. A lot of people grow up with grandpa and pa going out hunting and stuff. So I think you might get a little bit of assistance if the kids come home with a flyer from you saying, does your child want to learn about shooting? Maybe mom or dad or grandpa, grandma will say, yeah, absolutely. And here's a little bit of money if you want to send Junior to go do that.
Yeah. I think that it's such an important thing to teach. The way I see it is I have my own children, and I don't I let my kids go to their friends' houses, and so there's some houses, I don't know I don't take a survey of their parents and ask them if they have guns or, you know, if they have guns in the house, or like, I mean, I don't go that far. So I just wanted to make sure that if my kids, they go into someone's house and they see a gun, they know exactly what to do. There's like, there's no mystery. There's no curiosity. My kids, they know that, like, they know the rules. And I don't know if I can say that for all kids. I think curiosity attaches itself with firearms. There's mystery to it. And that's where I think accidents and, you know, trauma can happen, unfortunately. I know, you know, it's not often, but you hear of it. And I often wonder to myself, how might that have been prevented? And I think through responsible firearm education and taking away the curiosity and bringing firearms into a light where it's just a tool to help you, or to, you know, to as target practice. It's like, my kids, they're so desensitized to it, but there's, you know, we're careful. They're respectful with firearms. They know the rules. And I just wish all kids were like that. And that's, I mean, that's totally something that I would be, that's one of my goals. I mean, I'm selling them, so I'd like everyone who's buying them to know that this, like, we take that seriously as well. And it should be taken seriously.
Is it something you're kind of got plans to do in the near future? Is to start teaching either schools or through your range?
Absolutely, it is right now. Right now I'm in the process of, well, I've contacted the RCMP, and I'm trying to get into to become an instructor for the Canadian Firearm Safety course.
Awesome.
And so, COVID's kind of set that back a little bit, unfortunately, but I'm still working. I want to become a hunter safety instructor, which is kind of odd and unusual because I only started hunting a few years ago. I'm completely self-taught from YouTube and Facebook and asking questions here and there. I solo hunt. I'm not successful, but I still love to do it. And I've learned so much. I've enhanced my own skills so much. I just
Nice.
all I want to do is share it, though.
Yeah.
So.
Anybody you can recommend on YouTube? I'm just getting my core right now. I'm 90% into the course. I was doing it this week. So anybody on YouTube
for hunter safety?
Yeah. No, to get sorry, what I'm not sure what the Saskatchewan is. That the Saskatchewan equivalent? In BC we call it the core.
Yeah.
That's to get your hunter
probably.
license. Okay.
Yeah.
So anybody you can recommend on YouTube that you like watching?
I like watching Steven Ranella on Meat Eater.
Okay, well, there we go.
That's a Netflix guy.
What are you hoping to hunt? What are you hoping to hunt?
Well, I've got my bear tags from the spring that I wasn't successful with. So I got my bear tags. I'm hoping that I can get out. I can't do elk because I just wasn't prepared for elk, but whitetail I'm hoping. And then I know there's a moose tag that's calling my name, but I have to kind of schedule that in because there's only 4 days I can go. So
okay.
I'll see about that one, but I'm hoping I can at least get a bear and a whitetail this year. Because there's a lot of them in this area. So that's what I'm hoping for. Yeah.
What rifle are you bringing with you?
I've got a Bergara Wilderness in 6.5 Creedmoor, which I really love. Yeah. Yeah. So that's our go-to. All of us at the store, now I'm promoting Bergara, but we love Bergara. They're a fantastic rifle. And that's what we all shoot when we're hunting. So, yeah.
So, okay, so picking up, as I said a little bit earlier before we started recording, so picking up from our last episode where we had a firearms instructor on, I'm hoping to kind of do a path for a new shooter and how to get into the sport. So last episode, we talked a little bit with Delano about how to get your firearms license and the paperwork required and all that stuff. So somebody shows up at your store, brand new firearms license, new shooter, they would like to buy their own gun. What would you recommend for an entry level rifle or a gun or anything?
Well, first of all, it all depends on if they've got their non-restricted or the restricted, of course. If they've got their non-restricted, we're usually, I guess it just depends on what they want to use it for, right? So if you just want to just get a 22 just for plinking, just for, just some target practicing, always the Ruger 1022 is my go-to. But
that's what the wife's got.
I mean, it's reliable. It's a great rifle. And you know, there's so much of it that depends on the feel of it, right? Because they all feel differently. And so that's kind of a big thing there. We do have a lot of online sales. We have a lot of online sales. But I always tell people it's your best to go to your store, your local gun store, just to get the feel of it, like the rifle or the shotgun or whatever you're using the gun for. You're better off it's sometimes just going in and feeling it for yourself instead of just going by what someone else says. But yeah, I mean, as far as something particular, I mean, it just would depend on what they were using it for. So some guys come in. Yeah.
I think
Sorry.
I was gonna say that's a super good point. Like that's when I was shooting skeet competitively. That's what my instructor hammer home. Like gun fit is huge, right? If you're shooting a gun that's not sized right for you, right, then you're gonna be it's a huge factor in how successful you're gonna be, right?
Yeah.
So
that's one thing I've never tried
to go in.
was skeet or trap shooting, and I really want to. I really want to.
Yeah, they're so much fun.
Yeah, it looks like it. But that's definitely where I would start out with, was just the feel and just the way it feels. Yeah.
So that was non-restricted. So I guess restricted, you just kick him down the store and say, okay, I need one of these, couple of these, and a couple of these.
No, I mean, and I try sell as much as I can.
Yeah.
I always tell people that you're going to get what you pay for. So if you're going to and it also depends on your budget. So some people don't have a huge budget rate at first. So I try to always, if it's a lower budget in mind, you try to work with that budget and get them the best that they can have. Right. If they've got something, I mean, if they've got a little bit more, then yes, of course, you're going to go lean in towards like your CZs and stuff like that. Because for me, I really like the CZ handguns. But then there's just like your fun guns too, right? Fortunately, we still have access to, there's the, we just had one in that was super fun. The FNPS 90. That was a real different gun that, it's, you do have some people that's their first gun. So they got a little bit more money to spend and that's what they want to do. We've got a Derringer, a Snake Slayer in right now. And that's a really fun little gun. And, it just depends on what people are looking for. A lot of people, they just, when they're first getting into it, they worry sometimes about recoil and the caliber. And so that's something that we would consider as well, as the caliber. Like some people are not looking for that, they're not wanting a Magnum Research 50 AE kind of thing. They want maybe like maybe they're looking for like just a 22, something that's cheap to shoot, but you can still get your get your target practice in. There's so many things to consider, and it all boils down to your budget, what you're looking at doing with the gun. With the restricted firearms, sometimes people don't like that it has to sit there. You have to keep it stored and you can only shoot it at a range. So that's kind of a consideration for some people.
So I guess in terms of giving specific advice to our audience, is there any like pitfalls that you might see with first time buyers, that they come in and they might make some sort of general mistake or buy a gun that's not suited for them? What do you think about in terms of that?
Well, I think probably when you're looking at like I was saying before, you kind of get what you pay for. So sometimes if you're spending something that, if you're not spending as much on a firearm, sometimes, the ammo isn't running through. It's not running through as nicely as it would, say, with something a little bit better priced. Maybe there's some issues with jamming, malfunctions. I mean, we don't want to sell guns that do that, obviously. So we try to bring in the best products that we can to meet every budget. I don't know. I don't personally recommend buying online necessarily if you haven't held the gun in your hand, or if you're not familiar with it. One of the perks of having a gun range with the gun store is people can come to the range and they can try guns out. We do have some guns that we have available for rent. We have gun rentals. But
I mean, that's a very
as far
good.
as
That's a good point for a prospective buyer as well as try before you buy. Like, you wouldn't necessarily buy a car or a motorcycle without, well, at the very least, sitting on it, but maybe taking it out for a spin as well, right?
yeah, for sure. And I mean, there's a lot of people that do it. There's lots of people that,
Mhm.
they read a bunch of reviews or they watch the reviews and they're great. And I've seen that. I've seen great reviews, and then I've held the product and used the product, and it's absolutely it's gold. It's good.
Mhm.
And most of the time it's really valuable information. But yeah, I don't know, as far as the pitfalls, it's hard to say. I don't really have too many.
What about buying new
Go ahead.
versus used? Do you ever take guns in on consignment or anything like that?
Yeah, we take guns on consignment, and we buy guns and we sell them,
Hmm.
and we trade. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity for people to check out some guns and not pay the full price
Yeah.
tag for them. And I mean, I still think that's a pretty good way to get a good gun, and like a really reliable gun.
Hmm.
So
I mean, I know.
actually,
Sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say the used gun market is very good, for
Yeah.
sure.
Because
Yeah.
I know from I mean, just like you have a hunting season, my background is mainly motorcycles, and I know at the end of the year is the best time to buy a bike because that's people are selling because they don't want to store it, right? So I was thinking like warming up to hunting season, maybe people are, if somebody wants to buy their first hunting gun, people are maybe offloading theirs because they want to upgrade to the next best. And then
Oh yeah.
they've already got a good sight on there. They've already got all the fixings on there, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. For sure. And we do have a lot of those guns that come in, and some are real gems. We have
Hmm.
come in and we're like, "Oh man, just seeing it." And then they go quick. Like sometimes
Hmm.
we have somebody come in and they will sell us a gun, we'll buy a gun from them or trade or whatever, they'll trade up. And that gun's gone like as soon as the customer walks out the door, basically. It's really amazing sometimes. Yeah, when you have
Nice.
a highly sought after firearm, and especially if it's used, oh yeah,
Hmm.
that's really good, for
Awesome.
sure. Hmm.
Awesome. So you said, I don't want to say husband, you said your partner?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so did you already have the store before he came along? I forget, or is this is a joint venture,
No,
right?
this was both of us. So
Okay.
we were we were just kind of sitting there one day, and we just thought, I mean, he was really into guns before I was. He is into like the black guns, the ARs, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And he had a small collection, and I was into it, and he knew, like, we were both really into shooting and guns. He's more of a long range shooter,
Mhm.
and he got me hooked on that as well. So it's just another hobby that I can't afford right now. But yeah, we're sitting here one day and we thought, hey, what would it be like if we sold some guns on the side? We had a business, like a small business, and we did some research and we learned that we needed to have a storefront in order to buy from some of the bigger distributors in Canada. Well,
Mhm.
really, from anywhere, you need a storefront. So we just went with it, and we were both at the penitentiary at the time.
Mhm.
And so September 12th, 2018 was my very last day at the penitentiary after nearly 12 years there
Wow.
as a parole officer.
Okay.
And so I just jumped into, I call it the middle of the ocean as an entrepreneur.
I guess.
And we took a huge leap of faith and into guns, and it's paid off. And I mean, I hope that it lasts. I can ride the wave for as long as I can.
Mm-hmm.
But as an entrepreneur, I know that you have to, you always have to keep looking for other doors and other opportunities and how you can grow and expand your business. And so that's what we do. And that's my thing.
Well, it sounds like
I just have guns.
It sounds like that's what you're doing now with wanting to get into teaching a little bit more as well, getting certified to teach.
Yeah, and that's like, that's my background. I've been around children my whole life. I started babysitting when I was 12. It kind of got me through many years of, wanting to earn my own money, and then becoming a teacher. And I taught for a couple years. And I mean, I think that's in my blood to teach, because I love learning. I teach myself all the time. And I think that one of the great things about learning is sharing what you've learned so that other people can benefit from it as well. And yeah, of course, it's like perfect for me, because not only do I have this Bachelor of Education degree, which, it doesn't necessarily mean anything, but I have that love of teaching. And I think it's kind of contagious most of the time when I'm around people, because I know I'm very passionate about things when I talk about them. And people want to learn, and they do learn, and it's kind of a win-win situation. So I just I'm going to go with it. I want to reach out to women. I don't think that there's enough women involved in the sport, and I think they're missing out. I think women are fantastic. They can be very proficient marksmen and markswomen. and I think that carries on into, when you have a woman who has an interest in firearms and knows how to handle them and how to use them, safely, responsibly, respectfully. Women in the household, that kind of trickles down into the kids, and then and the kids learn about that, and I just think it just kind of goes hand in hand, all of it. So that's definitely one direction I'm heading with my business, is just reaching out to the beginner shooter, because I think it's really important to reach those people as well. My knowledge about guns and the firearm world, it's not extensive. I've learned a lot over the last few years. I've learned so much. When I compare myself to some of the other guys that I talk to, like in my store alone, or the customers, or even maybe like guys like yourself, I feel like I'm on the lower end of the totem pole. For sure I do. Because I've only been really absorbed in the firearms world for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So my knowledge.
Well, that's 2 years on me. When you're rattling off your guns, I'm like, Oh, I know that one. Glock. Okay, I know what that is. I'm like, fuck, I hope this doesn't come up again. Well, but I like rifles, and I like old rifles. Like, give me a 100-year-old rifle, and I'll happily play with it. But all this new stuff is like, nice. But you're head and shoulders over me already there. But,
you know what? I kind of know my place a little bit. I'm probably like a unicorn in the firearm world, like sort of, because there's not. I've met a lot of people in the industry and in the business that are into firearms, and there's not a whole lot of women that are. When I do meet a woman that's as passionate about guns as I am, I connect right away.
Yeah,
it's like yeah, but those are very far and few between. So of course I want there to be more.
Well, Melanie, you'd be pretty interested in our women's program. That's their official starting is October 1st. A couple days here.
And I was actually on your Facebook page, and I noticed that, and I was interested in that. So maybe we'll talk about that. I mean, we can talk about it after, or or whenever, because that is something I'm very interested in for sure.
Well, yeah. Well, let me tell you more about it. Like, so for their first event there, right, just with all the schools being, I mean, our clubs, some of them are operating, some of them aren't, right? It's hard to start having these women's events in this era of COVID where all the provincial regulations are different and everything's so different, right? So
Yeah.
the women decided we got a whole women's committee that they're working on. How do we bring our programming to the young women out there that may be interested in firearms, but may be intimidated for a variety of reasons, or just they have that barrier of entry of I'm interested in guns, but how do I get into it, right? So they're starting it off with it's a panel of 3 women on October 1st there. And yeah, they're going to talk about guns, talk about their personal experiences, how they got into it. So I'm
Yeah,
sure they'd be interested in talking to you at some point as well.
for sure.
Um,
Super interested in that.
so
Yeah.
yeah,
Awesome.
I'll definitely I'll hook you up with Rahina there. She's the ex president of the University of Calgary Firearms Association, and yeah, she came on board after she finished school, and she's running our women's programs. I mean, who better to run it than a just recent graduated woman and she got into firearms literally from one of our student clubs, right? So
Yeah.
she gets exactly what we're trying to do. She understands the benefit of creating these clubs, and she understands how we can best reach these other young women in the community.
Yeah, it's amazing, actually, for sure it is.
So I had a question for you too, because you're so passionate about teaching, and you seem like you've given a lot of thought in terms of how you'd like to educate people. Like, so in Melanie's ideal world of firearms safety and education, what would you envision as your like what do young men and women grow up in? Kind of what types of courses do people do? How are people exposed to firearms? Like, what would you like to see as a culture being the views around firearms?
Well, in my perfect world, it would start out with firearm education in the elementary schools. It could be a voluntary thing. It wouldn't have to be mandatory, but for any kids or families who are interested in pursuing that and having their kids learn a little bit more about firearms and firearm safety, that's where in my perfect world, that's where I would start. And then those kids would go into different programs that possibly we are having at the ranges and the ranges around the city. So, I mean, there's like a junior Olympic shooting programs. There's like the trap and skeet shooting, which is great for young people and families. We've got well, I don't know, the 3-gun. There used to be 3-gun. I haven't heard much of it around. Like, there's so many different styles of shooting. There's the cowboy action. So I would like
Well,
the
what's
yeah.
cowboy action? I've not heard of
Um
that.
well, and it's all kind of new to me too, but I've been learning about this from customers. So they actually they're events,
Yeah,
and they all these guys, women as well, they kind of get, I think I haven't been to one yet, but they dress up in kind of a cowboy gear, and they shoot. Uh, there's lever actions.
nice.
They shoot and revolvers,
Yeah,
and yeah, and it's all about speed, and like it's really super. Like, it's so
no.
totally different. It's something cool, and
So it's like
yeah, so
a little bit of a retro 3-gun then,
yeah, kind of,
basically.
yeah,
Awesome. Oh,
yeah,
that'd be
for
pretty cool.
sure. So there's like and so there's all these different clubs, these shooting clubs that are around, and I'm sure they're out wherever you guys are. I'm sure of it. There has to be. But this firearm education, it would follow kids through the elementary school into junior high, into high school. We're working on expanding different opportunities for these kids, their families, their scholarship programs in the university at the university levels. Then gets into the Olympic shooting, whatever that may be, because I haven't followed Olympic shooting at all, to be honest, but I know that's a thing. So
Hmm.
um and of course the hunter safety programs, having that available. It used to be that in the junior highs, maybe, I know, especially in Saskatchewan, they used to offer that for for the kids, for the students. For me, it wasn't available. I mean, I was in, I think I was about, it was in the late 80s. I was in middle school, like my junior high, and that wasn't available to me. So I know it was shortly before then. It was before that time that they had cut that right out of the schools. I honestly think, you know, had I been exposed or introduced to firearms at that age, wow, where would I have gone? I mean, I'm here now and I love it and I'm grateful for everything that I have. But if I had known back then, or if I had the gun bug back then, I wonder where I would be right now. So
Two
that's,
ranges.
pardon me?
Two ranges.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah, who knows, right? So it's, that is something to me. Of course, I love the store, having the range. We always have thoughts and dreams of expanding that, of course, but we're happy with what we have right now. And it's just a matter of, you know, building on what we have right now. And I think a huge component of firearms is the education. And I think that's what's missing. I I think that there's many people that have stigmatized firearms, or they're afraid of firearms, and that's the problem. That is the problem with firearms in Canada and possibly all over the place. There's just not enough education about it. And I really believe that I have something to offer, and I can teach people not like to overcome that and to be respectful and feel safe and have fun with them.
It sounds like you
That's
definitely have the passion for it.
100%.
Yeah.
Like this, I was born to do this, no doubt about it. This was my thing for sure. Yeah.
That's something Dave and I have talked to each other about, and to Delano a little bit on the last episode, is that we're looking at normalizing guns. And like you said, the stigma, just take that out of it, because people just don't know, right? Like most people, what they know about guns is either see on TV or read about in the news, and that's
Oh yeah.
either I mean, obviously Hollywood's going to exaggerate everything, and then the news, it's never a good thing, right? It's not how many medals we brought home from the Olympics in shooting. It's who got shot in whatever town,
Right.
right? So
Right.
and that's what drew me to this organization, is that it is about the education. It's not political, and it's the sport and the people's passion about shooting.
Right.
It's
And there's so much. Like you can use a gun for so much, like for so many things. Like it's an incredible tool. I feel so like we're so lucky that our forefathers have gone through all the work of developing all of this, and here we are at this point. We're carrying it on, and I think that's amazing. I think it's amazing. Have they been used for bad? Yes. And are they? Yes. But we can't focus on that. They're incredible tools, and that's what I choose to focus on. The fact that it's an incredible tool.
And I think that's a super good point too, because it's like, out of all my various passions and hobbies, firearms is one of the most like dense and deep that you can go. Like no matter what direction you go in, whether it's hunting, whether it's advocacy, whether it's sports, whether it's like just recreational shooting with your friends, right? You can go so deep and in each like aspect, right? It's there's so many different flavors, right? You can get big into the tech, you can get into the gunsmithing side, you can get into the business like yourself, right? There's so much to do and so many different things to try, right? So
yes, I agree.
So awesome. So the future for you, the next little while, is just getting into the teaching then, eh? It sounds like you've already got a bit of a plan in the works.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the pandemic has kind of pushed things back a little bit, but I'm thinking of it in terms of, you know what, I've got time. It's provided me a little bit of extra time to, you know, to get things sorted out. I've got plans in the works to have a student club on the go at the range here. I've spoke with, I think, well, his name's Alfred. Dave, maybe you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly. USask professor, right?
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
actually came to the store, such a wealth of information, so encouraging, gave me lots of super great ideas that I want to work on. And my goal is to really just start with, of course, I'm going to keep going with these ladies range days because I think reaching the women is fantastic. But also, if I want to continue going down the road with the post-secondary students, because I think that's that's just another group that can benefit from what I have to offer. And of course, I'm going to benefit as well as, business, because I'm in it for profit. I'm making a profit from it. But I think that providing that opportunity for our youth is that is a win-win situation. They have a place to go to learn, to build on friendships. There's I just think that there's just so much so much good that comes along with that. And I don't know, hopefully I can continue working with the U of S and, developing something there where possibly, Saskatoon isn't very far from Prince Albert. It's about an hour drive, a little over an hour. So if I could have students from Saskatoon come into the range, that'd be great. Checking it out. That is something that for right now, that's going to be my focus, is the students, the older students and the women.
Awesome.
And yeah, that's my focus for right now. And I just kind of go with the flow. I'm very busy. My schedule is always full. It's hard to, sometimes as an entrepreneur, it's difficult because I don't have anybody telling me what to do. I have to tell myself, how my day is going to unfold. And I have to designate how I'm going to spend my time and my resources and use that to the best of, use it to my advantage and use it to the business advantage. I don't want to sacrifice too much of my own time with my family.
Mhm.
And so there's lots of things at play, but it's always just, it's just something I go with the flow and I take things as they come. Sometimes things work, sometimes things don't, but I don't stop. So we'll just keep going. Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you're definitely down the right path.
And
Thank
it
you.
sounds like any of our students in Saskatoon really need to hit you up there at Northern Elite Firearms.
Absolutely, they do. Yeah, for sure.
Do you wanna plug your store and your range real quick? So your stores, you guys have a website, right?
Yes, we do. Our website, so it's northernelitefirearms.ca.
Right.
And we've got a pretty good website. I think it's pretty good. Well, although we have lots of stuff that's out of stock right now. Guns are flying off the shelves these days. But we have a great website. Of course, I try to put everything I can on Facebook. I have a really active social online presence. I've really done my best to keep that on the go and to keep it fresh and entertaining and informative and educational as much as I can for the last few years. So I'm glad I stuck with it. There was a time when I was thinking, oh, social media is not getting me anywhere. Why am I bothering to do all this? But I remember going to a gun show one time. It was a couple years ago, and a guy said to me, don't stop it. Don't give up on it. And so I chose to follow his advice, and I feel that I've been very successful with it to this point, for sure. And I just can keep growing that. And it's such a great way to reach so many people.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have to pay a dime for it. So
there you go. So you got the Facebook. Anything else? Any other social media and Instagram?
Well, I'm in charge of all the online stuff, so it's hard to keep up with it all. We have an Instagram. I'm not diligent with the Instagram. We've got Pinterest, but those are platforms that Facebook takes up. That's a full-time job almost for me.
Yeah, no kidding.
Mm-hmm. If anybody's interested in trying to, I run this other group. It's called the Target Draw. And so you can win a gun. So I'm always giving away guns on there. So
nice.
That's on Facebook. Yeah. So there's different ways to win guns and learn about guns. And Facebook is the main way for me right now. YouTube, I'd like to do more videos because we do have a channel on YouTube, but I haven't kept up with that, unfortunately. This is where I think it would be beneficial for me to hire somebody to help me out with all of this. And I just, I haven't gotten that far yet, but I'm working on it.
Can we find your Facebook or your YouTube through your website, or your YouTube through your Facebook?
I don't think you can from our website. I have started up a blog. I have a section on our website to do a blog because I'm a writer as well, because I don't have enough things on my plate.
I know, I was just going to say, because you clearly don't do enough, right?
But I do write about, I do a lot of writing about my experiences, meeting different people or trying different things. And I've created a section on our website for a blog. There's nothing on there yet, but the hope is I can start putting some of my work into there, and then it'll, it's just something different and attached to the website. And I'd like to keep it about guns, but I don't always write about guns. I have many interests. So, and yeah, it's.
We heard little Chihuahua.
Yes. Yes, I have a dog. I've got so many kids. I got a grandbaby.
No way.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to see some ID here, young lady.
Yeah, so it's my oldest is 24, so
Jesus.
Yeah. So yeah, we're very busy. We've got a very busy family, and we do lots. And so yes,
Awesome.
The website and the Facebook is probably the best way to find out about who we are at Northern LA Firearms. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Right. I heard a saying a couple of years ago I really liked. It's when everything just kind of lines up in life, it means that you're on your path.
Yeah.
It means that
I would agree.
That's when you're following your destiny. Is when things start lining up, it's like, okay, now I'm on my destiny. I'm not spiritual or anything, but I like it. I'm like, that made sense. I enjoyed that saying. Definitely sounds like you're following your path right now.
I totally feel like I'm on my path. Absolutely, 100%. It's not easy. I mean, sometimes, people will say, "Oh, your life looks so awesome. It looks so easy." Because I post a lot of good stuff on my Facebook, right? Like I always post the good things, but I don't want to bring anyone down with the bad things. There's lots of bad things. There's lots of.
We'll look for the Facebook post where it's just like, "Fuck my day."
Yeah, and I always try to keep things light and funny, and like I try to find things that are interesting. I got a little political over the last few months. I'm trying to tone that down a little bit.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
That's something Dave and I spoke about, and that's something we kind of had to we basically mutually agreed on that when I came on, that there's over 2 million people, regardless of how you vote, we all shoot.
Yeah.
And let's just leave it at the common denominator.
Yep. Yes. And so I think I've been on Facebook since 2007. And I think that my main thing, when I started out doing Facebook, I wanted it to be a tool or a resource for my kids, because I knew my kids, they might take a look at it, and they do. I have a couple older kids that look at it. So I want to post things that are inspirational or educational or motivating, just stuff like that. So like, there's no point in complaining about things, because that doesn't get you anywhere. And I don't know. I just think being negative it doesn't solve anything. It doesn't solve any problems. No. And I kind of like to be a problem solver, even though there's some problems I find myself in that sometimes, I mean, I will look, I ask all the time. I ask for people's opinions and people's ideas and thoughts. And, I try to focus on the positive and the results, being results based, because that's where you get progress. So
being goal oriented, I find that if you find your goal and then you work your way backwards, you find out what you want, and then you figure out, how do I get myself there?
Yeah.
I find that's a lot easier because then you can figure out the steps rather than seeing it some unattainable goal. Another saying I really like is I might be saying it wrong, but if you shoot for the stars, you might just get the moon.
Right.
Right? If you shoot all the way up, I mean, I'm not all the way up to the stars, but I got myself to the moon.
Exactly. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Dave, do we have anything else? I'm almost out of my drink, which means the podcast must be over soon, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, thanks a lot for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us today, Melanie. I appreciate
Yeah.
the insights that you have, and I mean, I really love how you're on the same wavelength with us in terms of firearms education, just being so huge and such a big part of our community.
Yeah, well, it was it's always such a pleasure talking to people who are into guns. I've met so many amazing people, and it just reassures me and confirms to me that I am, like you said, Swally. It's Swally, right?
So yeah, it's a
Yeah.
story. It's a story behind it, but yeah, Swally.
But it just kind of confirms that yes, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be, and I'm very thrilled with that and happy to be here for sure.
And
Awesome.
I think a lot of times we just need that little reminder, right? Like guns
Yeah.
are more than just they're more than just the politics, right? They're the people.
Yeah.
Oh, I
sure.
smell a slogan right there. Should remember that one. Awesome. Okay. Well, yeah, we're getting up on an hour. Should we just wrap it up there?
Sure.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Okay. Thank you very much, Melanie, for coming on. Thank you for
Yes.
brightening our day with so much enthusiasm towards guns. Like, really?
Oh yeah.
Really?
I love them.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I love them.
Awesome. And yeah, thank you again to our sponsors. We just in the last little while we had Beretta come on, Vortex, and then what was the range? Stillwell,
Stittsville Shooting Range.
Stittsville Shooting Range,
as well, of course, our premier sponsor, Cabela's. I mean, one of your competition, but yeah, they've really helped us out here. So we've got to give a big shout out to them.
I still love going into Cabela's. I don't care that they're a competitor. I still like going in and looking at it, and I still buy stuff here and there.
It's not a competitor, it's a colleague.
It's a colleague. Well, it's something to try and it's a level to attain.
Yeah, there you go.
Myself.
Yeah. So next time, Mel, next time you're at Cabela's, you start pacing out how big the store is, and then figure that out on your land. See how much square footage you need.
Yes. How many trophies do I need in my store?
There you go. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Well, we'll call it there. If you want to stick around online a little bit afterwards, Melanie, we can chat some more. But I'm gonna hit stop there on this episode 2. Okay.
Oh,